All right, so for example number 2, Denise decides to open a bank account that earns interest at an annual rate of 2%. If she deposits $100 into the account at the beginning of each year, how much money will be in Denise's account at the start of the 50th year? All right, so let's look at this. So her annual interest rate is 2%, and she's making a $100 deposit at the beginning of each year. And we want to know how much money is going to be there at the start of the 50th year. So let's write our formula down. Not quite sure why my screen is doing this, but usually everything will start to show up eventually. There we go. So there's our formula. All right, so once again, I am going to, off to the side here, I'm going to write down what each of my variables are. So A, remember, is our initial or our starting value. In this case, our initial value is the initial deposit, which in this case is $100. Okay. Our R value is our common ratio. Okay, now our common ratio is going to be 2%. Now let's look back at our lesson notes. Remember, I talked about this in the first example. When the common ratio is a percentage, the R value is the decimal form of the percentage, except in the following context when you're earning interest on investments or bank accounts. This is that context. So in this context, the R value would not be the percentage. So normal circumstances would be to say that R equals 0.02, which is the decimal form of 2%. In this case, the R value would be 1 plus that percentage. So 1 plus 0.02, which is 1.02. Now, some of you may be asking yourself, why is that the case in this context? The reason is, if you think about what earning interest means, okay, Denise is depositing $100 every year, and at the end of that year, she still has that $100 plus an additional 2% of what was in there. Then she deposits another $100. All right. At the end of that year, she'll have whatever money was in the account at the beginning of the year plus an additional 2%. That is why our R value in this case is 1 plus the percentage, so 1.02. Lastly, our N value is the number of terms. In this case, that would be the number of years. Okay, in this case, because it's an annual interest rate, that means the interest is only being charged or only being earned once per year. So she is only going to earn interest. She's going to earn interest 50 times for the 50 years. If it was a interest rate that was biannual, that means she would earn interest rate twice a year for 50 years. Kind of similar to the dosage thing from example 1. But in this case, our N value is 50. Now we can go ahead and plug the numbers into the formula. 1 minus R to the power of N divided by 1 minus R. Okay. Okay, and again, just like in example 1, I just went ahead and I used Desmos. I did that up here. Okay. Now we are talking about money in a bank account at the start of the 50th year. So with money, dollars and cents, we always go to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to round this to 2 decimal places. This will be $8,457 So at the start of the 50th year, Denise will have $8,457.94. So $8,457.94. Just like with the medicine example, your other cool down today will have an example just like this, but with a different interest rate, different deposit, different numbers essentially. All right, so make sure that you have written down this example. Make sure you watched the previous video and wrote down that example, because that will help you immensely with your cool downs tonight.